Hey everybody, Greg Cazillo from CAZILLION.com. I got a really cool video for you today with a lot of great tips, so stick around so you see the whole thing, alright? So, question from Leo. Not sure if you remember, but I commented a few months back asking about bracketing. Thanks for nagging me. Appreciate it, because I forgot. You mentioned you might do a video on that. Was wondering if I was still planning to do a video. In all honesty, I haven't done any research on it. However, I just found an inspiring HDR image and wanted to give it a go. I'll start looking into it, but curious to see your educational video. Thanks for the question, Leo, and the nag. Appreciate it. So, let's get down to it. What is bracketing? When should we use it? When shouldn't we use it? And how can we make it easier on ourselves in Lightroom? Because that's what this is all about, getting the work done and getting it out the door. So, product photography is one of the main ones. Hold on, back up. What is bracketing? Bracketing is capturing a sequence of images at different exposures. Okay, so as you see, this one is 1/60th of a second, 1/400th of a second, 1/250th, 1/160th, 1/100th of a second. All of the apertures and ISOs are the same on these 5 images. Only the shutter speed changed. Okay, so that's what bracketing is, just varying the exposure, and then we can later in post view on a big screen and see exactly what's going on and pick the right image that we want to use with the right colors. All right, so that's what bracketing is in a nutshell. Now, when do we want to use it? Well, as you're going to see here, I use it on product photography a lot. I use it in scenic photos a lot. And I also use it on a lot of interiors. All right. This is a good example of a product photo. Okay. I really wasn't sure, what kind of exposure I was going to want, especially with having 2 different light sources between the screen on the iPhone and then the light all around. All right. So I ended up with using this image. That was my 5-star image that I went with and I used. All right. So next one is my some scenic stuff. All right. Oops, forgot to turn that thing off again. So we have 5 images here once again that I shot, all different exposures: 250th, 60th, 1/100th, 1/200th, 1/50th of a second. Okay. So I ended up picking this one, and I did a little bit of work to it in order to make it look good. But again, it allowed me to go back, instead of just shooting one image and hoping that it's right, it allowed me to go back and pick the one with the sky that I wanted, with the shadows that weren't too deep, and it ends up working out really well. Now, for interiors, I use it a lot because I have, and now there's noise outside. Doesn't it just figure? Close the window. There we go. I use it a lot for interiors because of the windows. All right, as you see in this image, I have some more detail in the actual window itself, in the frame, the little squares and all that stuff. Okay, I have some additional detail there. So if I wanted to comp all of these photos together, or say if you're really into HDR and you wanted to put them together, you could choose a couple of these images and then comp them together in Photoshop to make one really excellent image. And so you're going to end up with a better overall image, rather than one that, say, is quote unquote properly exposed, but you have that really bright outside window that just doesn't work and it just looks horrible. It looks like I don't know what, like it's a horror movie or something. And then this one, everything is pretty much just underexposed inside, which obviously isn't ideal either. So that's what bracketing does for us. A couple more scenic photos that I did. And again, down here we have a little bit more sky that I'm able to utilize. Could be good, could be bad, really up to you how you want to make it look. And again, here's one that was my choice. All right. So in the camera, all right, we have our camera. We're ready to go. We're at a scenic photo. Hold on. You know what? I forgot to talk about when not to use it. The one time that I don't use it is for portraits. Inevitably, I'm going to end up with a photo that has the perfect smile, and it's, a stop and a half or a stop underexposed, and that's the last thing that I want. So don't do me a favor. Don't use it on portraits. None of the family stuff. Just stick with the scenic photos, the interior shots, the product photography. Those are really the ones that you want to use it for. I'm not a fan of doing it with any kind of a portrait, unless it's a model for some kind of a product shot or some kind of a commercial application that can give me a consistent smile and a consistent look. But other than that, it's just not worth it. You're going to end up with the wrong image, with the wrong expression on one that's underexposed, or the perfect expression in the image that's completely underexposed, and that's not ideal. So, stay away from the portraits. All right. Any other questions about when to use it or when not to use it? Just comment somewhere and ask me, and I'll let you know what I think. So, camera. All right, it's hooked up actually to the computer, so I'm going to show you a couple of tricks here. First, I have a dedicated bracketing button. I'm lucky on the D3 and D3S, so that makes it really easy. Most other cameras, you're going to need to go into the menu on the back of the camera. Oops. That one, the menu in the back of the camera, in order to set your bracketing. All right, so I'm going to set my bracketing. Ooh, let's talk about that first. Bracketing, or at least on the Nikon cameras, we can go from 3 frames to 5 frames, all the way up to 9 frames on this particular model of bracketing. So that means that these photos that you see here, this is a 5-frame bracket. All right, we have the one that's in the middle, which would be probably this 400th of a second here, and then we have 2 underexposed, and we have 2 overexposed. Okay. Then what we can do, we can also set the amount of bracketing from 1/3 of a stop, then 2/3 of a stop, and a full stop. So in other words, here, when we go from 1/800th of a second to 1/1600th of a second, that actually, sorry, it would be 400 to 800 and then 1600. So yes, that's about a full stop there. All right, am I correct on that? 1, 2, yeah, that's right. So that's a full stop of difference there. And so sometimes you might only need just a little bit of a difference just to get it perfect. I probably could have done that, to be honest, with these scenics, but I know that I definitely need more than that when I'm shooting my interiors, and I need that range and that stop and a half or 2 stops underexposed in order to get those windows exposed well. All right. So I set my amount of bracket. I set the number of frames. So then I can take some photos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. There's my 5 pictures, and they should be importing. And where did they go? There they are. Okay, there's my 5 pictures I just shot. Kill that. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 pictures I just shot. So, 1 3/20th, 1 2/50th, 1 6/40th, 1 1/60th, 1 80th of a second. Okay? And that, again, that was at a full 1 stop bracket. So it's going to only use the shutter speed for it. You typically don't want to use your aperture to change that, because when you go to, if you did want to comp some images together, the focus wouldn't be the same. So stay away from using the aperture. You can use your ISO, but again, you may end up with more noise or less noise. So most likely your best bet is going to be using the shutter speed to bracket and change. All right, and obviously you can do it manually too if you didn't want to use the shutter speed. So next step, or one more tip on this. When in the camera, you put your camera on continuous low or continuous high. This is an awesome trick. You heard me have to shoot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a second ago. Okay, watch this. Camera's on continuous high. See if you can guess what's going to happen. Watch. Did you hear that? 5 shots and it stopped. Okay, the camera is smart enough to know that you have a 5-shot bracket turned on, and so it's automatically going to shoot 5 photos in succession and then stop. Love that feature. Thank you, Nikon. Mwah. All right. Now, I promise you a couple of things here in Lightroom. Let's can these photos for a second. Actually, we won't do that. So, we brought our pictures back and we bracketed and we've done all of our stuff. So now we want to do something with them. We want to stack them. All right. When we were in this folder over here, as you see, these images are stacked, or should be stacked. A couple of them are. You know what? The stacks aren't showing in my quick collection. That's what's going on. So we'll go back over to here. Okay. We want to stack them up. All right. Photo, stacking, auto stack by capture time. This is a huge time saver, especially if you shoot it right and you do it right. Okay. Auto stack by capture time. Oops. Little things going. Okay. I have 2 stacks and 0 unstacked. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. Time between stacks, 2 seconds. Now, if I have it at 1 second, you can see these top 5 photos. I shot them a little bit slower. That's why we have 2 separate stacks instead of 1 stack. But you see these 5 in quick succession, they're still in 1 stack. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stack those. And now we see 105, 205, 305, 405, and 505. That is my stack, and that is my bracket right there. Boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, questions, comments. I'd love to hear about bracketing, about stacking, about why not even an HDR thing. You know I'm not a fan of HDR, but maybe you can change my mind if you show me some really cool HDR photos. So that's a challenge. Show me a really cool, and comment in here on the website on a really cool HDR image that you found. I'd love to see it. Greg Cazillo, CAZILLION.com. Thanks, guys. See ya.